missing someone. Love with all your heart. Missing someone. Love with heart.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. So in this week's episode, I'm going to do a creative color transformation. So this is a client that I have been highlighting her hair, and then we do like a creative color semi overlay with some Pulp Bright semis. And she used to be a bleach and tone, but you can see she normally waits about, I would say maybe like 4, maybe 5 months to get her roots touched up. So because of that, that is why we do like basically like a foliage and do highlights to the scalp. But I'm going to show you a technique that I like to do so that it looks more solid on her, similar to a bleach and tone. So for my products, I'm using the Blonde Me Schwarzkopf Lightener, and I've already detailed her hairline with a foil. And so now I'm going to go in and basically just do slices throughout the whole head. The slices is going to create a very solid effect and give her a lot of impact and blonde compared to like a chunky weave or a baby light. So when I first transitioned this client from a bleach and tone into basically like a highlight, we did more so of like a weaving pattern. We did a mix of like chunky weaves with some like baby light weaves and some slices, but now I've pretty much just opted to do slices because each time that she comes in, she does feel like she wants to be a little bit more on the solid side. So I really do feel like that slices creates that solid effect when the color is applied on and fades out. So for the back, I am just taking a center parting. I'm going to take this all the way up to her hairline in the front. And as you can see, as I'm painting down to the line of demarcation, I'm just pretty much feathering down and then painting that liner pretty much closest to the root as much as I can without it bleeding between the foils. My sectioning on this type of technique is pretty simple. I wouldn't put too much negative space because again, she does want to feel more on the solid part. So especially where she parts her hair, which is this top above the crown area, I am making sure that my slices and sections are pretty much close together. I'm leaving very little negative space. You can see that the hair that I leave out in between these slices is pretty see-through, so this is going to also create that very solid effect. And I'm also trying to think of how I'm going to retouch this when she comes back in next time. So I want to make sure that my sectioning and my lines of parting are super clean. This way, when I go back in for her next appointment, it's really easy for me to go back in and find all of the slices that I pretty much left out this appointment so that we can continue doing the same pattern each time, and then this is going to create that solid effect on her midts and ends. So at this point, I'm pretty much using just Blonde Me and 20 volume, and for all of my clients, I really generally don't go anything above 20 volume because I feel like with this lightener, it lifts really well, and the hair honestly doesn't need anything stronger because with developer, the higher you go, the faster it will work, but it does die out quicker as well. So it's good to kind of stay with a low developer, either like a 6, 10, or even 20 like I'm doing to do this type of technique because it won't die out as fast, but it might take a little bit longer than your normal 30 and 40 volume, but the hair will feel a lot better as it lifts and after you do everything with the color. So I'm now moving on to her money piece area, and again, like I said, she wants her hair to feel super solid, and I do this a lot with my natural blondes. So whenever I do a really heavy highlight, I will do slices back to back with no negative space so that it basically creates a very solid money piece. So it just varies on how much blonde they want around their face, and will determine how many slices I do back to back and how solid I want this chunky front piece to be. And whenever I'm taking any of my slices, I'm making sure that my sections are pretty see-through. This is going to ensure really good, easy lift with any type of lightener that you may use, because without a really thin see-through section, sometimes you can get blotchiness or an uneven lift to where the lightener doesn't really seep through or lighten the other part of the hair if you take a section that is way too thick. So I like to make sure that my sections are thin enough to where I can see them so that the lightener can fully process and penetrate through both ends of the hair on the foil. So after I feel like I've done enough foils for her money piece section, I'm going to continue that pattern of just taking a slice and leaving a very thin slice of negative space in between to kind of blend everything together and create that nice cohesive melt. So moving on to the sides, you can see I'm going to connect that middle section from the back and the front by just doing this side section all in one go. So I'm pretty much just detailing the hairline there right above the ear, and that is going to kind of tie the whole hairline together. And then everything else after that, I'm pretty much doing the same type of sectioning where I'm doing a slice and taking it all the way towards the top. My section is slightly diagonal back just to kind of create a little bit of a blend, because I don't want to see too much of like harsh lines. So whenever I do this part, I do take a slight diagonal back to kind of blend the line just a little bit. So after I have done foiled her head, I'm going into the money piece section and I'm hitting her root. So the lightener will be all the way to the scalp, just on the front hairline. So this is going to really create that nice solid effect and give her and make her feel like she pretty much did a bleach and tone throughout her whole head. So this is what my client's hair looked like when her foils were ready. She lifts super pretty and is able to wait as long as she pretty much wants because of the way that her natural hair lifts. If this was someone who had like coarser, darker, like closer to a level 2 or 3, it would be a lot difficult to get this type of lift, but because she is naturally like a level 7, her hair lifts beautifully and was completely ready to put these Pull Bright semis on. My purple formulation was velvet, and then my green was flytrap and some absinthe. So before putting on the Pull Bright semis, I've already blow dried my client's hair, and you can see she lifted beautifully. We didn't even purple shampoo her hair with anything. This is just what her hair looks like, raw lift with no toner. And I've already pre-sectioned out her hair, so we're going to be doing a half purple, half green look. And I'm just going in, I've sectioned out the sides first, and before applying the color, I asked her which side she wanted the purple and which side she wanted the green. And I feel like doing this, it always makes the client feel like they're a part of the whole process to get the exact placement that they want. And I just braided out the hair on the other side to kind of keep that side away as I apply this purple. So I'm going in and pretty much just rooting it, and I find that rooting it from the middle to and painting and pulling the hair back creates really clean sections for me, and I'm able to kind of apply the color without painting or making a mess too much. And whenever I do the semis, I generally do like to root the hair first and then start applying the mids and ends after, because I feel like it just makes everything clean again and just really easy for me to apply. And I'm also able, after I root the whole thing and I'm going in and checking that mid to end section and applying there, I'm able to kind of double check and cross check my root application while doing it this way. So after I applied her semi-formulation on her hair, I let it process at room temperature for about like 25 to 30 minutes. And it's really important whenever you're doing any type of vibrant color. I just rinsed it out with some ice cold water. We didn't shampoo it because we've already shampooed and blow dried it prior to the color service. So typically I usually just rinse out the hair with cold water, and then I just ask them to not wash their hair for about 3-4 days or a week if possible. Alrighty guys, so here is the finished look. I love the way this turned out. It looked so vibrant on her and it complemented her skin so well. I feel like any type of bright tone that we do on this specific client, she always looks so good and makes it look so awesome on her. So the way that this will fade, I feel like the purple will just kind of fade back to like a yellowish tone, but the green on the other side will just kind of fade into a minty green. Typically greens don't fully wash out and can be a bit stubborn to kind of get out of the hair, and they just kind of fade green, but purples typically always wash out and kind of just revert back to whatever's underneath it. So in this case her hair is really blonde underneath, and I feel like it will just turn more so blonde while the other side fades out more green. Alrighty guys, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in, and as always I will talk to you guys next week.